Straight ahead on CCX News, high-flying excitement.
You gotta really be brave and you just gotta commit to it.
Where local athletes dare to dream. Plus, a Brooklyn Center woman's way of trying to bring back the butterflies and the bees. But first, police swarm a Crystal neighborhood where a case of domestic violence turns fatal. CCX News starts right now. Hello, everyone, and thanks for joining us. A Crystal man is in jail today, accused of shooting and killing his wife.
Police arrested the man after a lengthy standoff on Wednesday night. Reporter Shannon Slatton explains what we know about the case so far.
Crystal Police Chief Stephanie Revering says the department is still investigating what happened that led to a woman's death in her home. Police say the adult son of the man arrested called and reported that his mother had been shot inside her home on the 4800 block of Yates Avenue North. When police responded, the man came out before holding himself back inside the home for about 2.5 hours. Finally, SWAT team negotiators got the man to surrender without incident. The 56-year-old suspect is in jail, being held without bail. Today, police are looking at records to see if they've been to this address before on a domestic violence call. But advocates say that number often doesn't tell the whole story. 10 Hennepin County police departments, including Crystal, work with a group called Cornerstone that helps the victims know their options in domestic violence situations.
Each person is going to come from their own place. Their safety concerns for themselves and their family are going to be different. So a question that we get asked a lot is, why doesn't someone leave?
No two answers are alike to that question, and Mike and Alex, Chief Revering expects the man to be charged tomorrow, Friday, and expects to release a little bit more about what happened.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks, Shannon. Hennepin County commissioners were asked to take a new look at the problem of racial disparities. A conversation this week covered everything from income to home ownership to transportation.
It was interesting to me that my district, District 1, is the most diverse district, the most non-white district, and I knew we would be close, but I didn't think that was the case. That jumped out at me. My district has the least number of residents who have any kind of a college.
Mike Opat's district includes Brooklyn Park, Brooklyn Center, Crystal, New Hope, and Robbinsdale. He says the county can't solve all the disparities by itself. For one thing, it doesn't have control over education. But there's also disparities of investment when it comes to road building that Opat says should be addressed.
We would be looking at maybe having a different sort of policy around maintenance of our county roads, the medians and such, from city to city, instead of saying build it and then hand it off to cities that don't have as many resources as other cities, and then when it doesn't look so great, be astonished. I mean, I think we need to review some of those things.
As Hennepin County starts considering next year's budget, Opat says it's not clear yet what kind of impact these discussions will have. Over the next few days, an estimated 100,000 people will make their way to downtown Minneapolis for the X Games.
The extreme sports spectacle involves athletes performing breathtaking tricks, and as Delane Cleveland reports, the daring stunts are inspiring a new generation of kids right here in the Northwest Metro.
Today, X Games is kicking off in Minneapolis.
If you're a fan of action sports, Minneapolis is the place to be these next few days.
These people are world-class athletes in any discipline.
As the spectacle known as the X Games dazzles the local sporting scene.
Oh God, yeah, everybody's talking about it.
It's always fun to have pros come to Minnesota because we're kind of not big for skateboarding much.
Yet while the pros handle their business downtown, the next generation of skateboarders are working to get to that level just a few miles away in Golden Valley.
Oh God, yes. I would love to be at least sponsored. I would love to skate for a company and just get free boards and do what I love.
12-year-old Jackson Kaganovsky is one of 30 children participating in a skateboard camp at Third Layer. It's an instructional program where the kids can learn how to ride or take their performance to the next level.
I come here a lot. I've been coming here for like 5 years now. I just love skating their courses. I've been learning new stuff since I started skateboarding.
The goal, according to Third Layer's owner Mark Rodriguez, is to get these kids to develop a lifelong passion for skateboarding.
It's a sport that doesn't have rules, so it does offer up a lot of opportunity for creativity and expression. There's a lot of different type of terrain that you can ride.
And when a big event such as the X Games comes into town, it creates a buzz.
It's a great resource and tool to create more exposure for something that means so much to us, in hopes that it's going to motivate more people to want to get out there and try it.
In addition to motivating people, the hope is that the X Games can also change any negative perceptions about the skateboarding culture.
Because at my house, I usually skate street, and people sometimes in the cars just give me like a look like, oh, he's a skateboarder.
The reality is that the sport takes strength, mental toughness, and dedication.
You gotta really be brave, and you just gotta commit to it.
The right amount of bravery and commitment could one day bring the kids from third layer onto the big stage. In Minneapolis, Delane Cleveland, CCX News.
U.S. Bank Stadium will also host the X Games in 2018. Officials from Meet Minneapolis say the X Games will have an economic impact of more than $42 million.
The Maple Grove Days Festival kicked off with a thank you to veterans. American flags lined the entrance to Maple Grove's Town Green, where residents were treated to live music. Volunteers with the Maple Grove Beyond the Yellow Ribbon program helped organize the festivities. The Veterans Support Group is currently raising money to build a Veterans Memorial. It would be located in the southwest corner of Maple Grove Central Park. The design includes a history of military conflicts represented in a series of steel panels.
We're starting at the Civil War and going up through the most recent wars, and we're trying to talk a little bit about each war and what was going on in Maple Grove at the time during those wars. A couple of quotes from local people and those types of things on each plaque. And we have a plaque for the fallen, so anybody that knows somebody who lived in Maple Grove that has passed, was in a war, we'd like to have them up on the wall.
The group is selling pavers to raise money for the memorial. For more information, contact the Maple Grove Beyond the Yellow Ribbon Network. The number is 612-564-9764. And the Maple Grove Days Parade will have free air conditioning this year thanks to the comfortably cool weather.
Could have been a lot warmer,
Yes.
right? The parade starts at approximately 6:15 Thursday with a vintage plane flyover. The route travels west along 89th Avenue from Zachary Lane to Elm Creek Boulevard. CCX News reporter Delane Cleveland and CCX Sports Director John Jacobson will both be in the parade. If you can't join us in person, you can join us in spirit. The parade will air live right here on CCX. Still ahead on CCX News, a Brooklyn Center woman's attempt to bring back the butterflies and the bees.
Plus, later in sports, a look ahead to the USA Cup Youth Soccer Tournament, bringing over 1,000 teams from across the world to the Northwest Metro.
But first, it's warming back up. We're back in the 80s on Friday.
A Brooklyn Center resident is on a mission to build up the bee and butterfly populations.
Reporter Sonia Goins goes in the garden to show us what she's doing.
Kind of bringing some beauty and some joy to the neighborhood.
Amy Hunter has lived in her Brooklyn Center home for more than 16 years. A few years ago, she decided to give her front yard a makeover.
I ended up with a clean slate because I had to get rid of what used to be too mature fruit trees here in the front yard.
Her small garden plots consist of all Minnesota native plants.
I thought, well, if I can't be an ecologist, let me build a wildlife preserve right here in my own yard.
A variety of perennials can be found in her yard.
These are actually swamp milkweed, which are just starting to think about blooming. You can see the beginning of the flower up here.
Protecting the bee and butterfly populations is why Amy chose to use native plants.
Their population numbers being reduced due to habitat loss, loss of honeybees, loss of our native bumblebees. That's when it became more important to me to start doing this for larger reasons.
The environmentalist was able to capture Mother Nature enjoying the plants in her yard last year. She says native gardens are easy to maintain. For starters, there's little to no weeds.
The more space that's taken up with the plants you like, the less room the weeds have to crawl in.
And for the most part, you can leave the watering to Mother Nature.
Even if we had a drought, they might look bad, but they're going to bounce right back as soon as the rains come.
While Amy enjoys bringing beauty to the neighborhood, she says gardening also helps her to keep her sanity.
It's very meditative, and suddenly I'm like, you know what? Whatever I thought was horrible and stressful and awful really isn't that bad.
In Brooklyn Center, Sonia Goins, CCX News.
It's a good way to look at it. And if you want to plant a native garden, Amy recommends starting out with 3 easy-to-maintain plants, something called meadow blazing star, swamp milkweed, and butterfly weed. Interesting names,
Yes.
too. Still ahead, one of the nation's fastest growing sports takes up court in Maple Grove.
But first, highlights from another busy night in a local summer lacrosse league. John Jacobson is in next.
I'm John Jacobson with sports. Soccer players from Minnesota and the rest of the world gather in the northern suburbs for the Schwann's USA Cup tournament. Jay Wilcox has more.
Thanks, John. We are joined by Barkley Cruz from the Schwann's USA Cup, 33rd year. It gets bigger and better every year, it seems. Tell us a little bit about this year's tournament.
Well, Jay, like you said, 33 years, so we have a long track record behind us. This year we'll be welcoming 1,168 teams, which is actually just 10 short of our record, which you set last year. So we're right about the same number of teams as we had last year. We are kind of stuck at that number until we can add more fields, which we hope to do in the future. This year we have 15 different countries represented in 17 states. Another really cool thing that we're really excited about this year is the opening ceremonies on Tuesday night, the 18th. The Navy Leapfrogs skydiving team will be participating in opening ceremonies. They'll be jumping into the stadium. So they are the real deal. They're a professional stunt skydiving team.
I know there's a lot of excitement around the Twin Cities about Minnesota United right now, too, and you've got quite a few tie-ins with them, it looks like, throughout the week as well, right?
Yeah, they're going to be heavily involved in USA Cup. The team is not playing their home games here anymore. They're playing home games at TCF Bank Stadium, but there will be 3 home games during the tournament. Then additionally, the team's going to have 2 public training sessions here on the stadium field right behind me, where they will open it up to the public. They'll have a coach's Q&A with fans in the stands, and then player autographs after the training session is over with.
One thing the fans will notice different this year, maybe won't affect the games so much, but getting here, we've got a little situation with construction. Tell me about that.
Yeah, we are in heavy construction right now. Spring Lake Park School District is building an elementary school on our campus. Long term, it's going to be awesome for us because that will be the new location for tournament headquarters, which will be an ideal situation for us, but that won't be until next year at the earliest. So access to the campus will be off of 105th and 109th and Davenport Street north of 105th.
All right, thanks, Barkley. Back to you, John. USA Cup coming up as teams get set to kick off both the weekend tournament and then the following week, the week-long event.
All right, thanks, Jay. That 3-day USA Cup weekend tournament runs this Friday through Sunday. The main week-long tournament is next Tuesday through Saturday. The Summer High School Boys Lacrosse League at Park Center fired back up this week after a week off for the 4th holiday. Osseo-Park Center met Anoka in one of the 4 games played at Park Center on Wednesday night. Some nice moves out front here by OPC's Anders Coombs. He dodges defenders, feeds Bryce Donahue, scores, and it's 3-0. They would lead 4-0 after a quarter. Second quarter, Coombs gains control of the ball and rifles a shot into the back of the Anoka net for a goal. Osseo-Park Center leads 6-3 at halftime. Third quarter, and Caleb Love with some nice work, moving from behind the Anoka net out in front to shoot and score. That makes it a 7-3 game. Fourth quarter, Nate Musial spots Donahue in front, feeds him a great pass for another goal. Osseo-Park Center beats Anoka 10-5, the final. Also at Park Center, at Maple Grove meeting up with Elk River. Maple Grove's Cole Nasco draws a defender, spots Nick Kafer, who comes out front and scores, giving Maple Grove a 2-1 lead after 1 quarter. Second quarter, Nasco on the run. He'll flip the short pass to Wade Shimke, who turns and scores, put Maple Grove up 4-2. Still in the second quarter, Shimke will pass to Cody Binstock. He lasers a shot past the goal and in. Maple Grove builds a 5-2 lead at halftime. Fourth quarter, Travis Zibley takes the pass, moves in to shoot and score. Maple Grove goes on to win this one 8-4. The playoffs for this league start on July 24th. As you saw earlier in the newscast, Maple Grove Days is underway, and Thursday night is the big parade. There are also a lot of athletic activities for people to get involved in, including a teen 3-on-3 basketball tournament, a junior golf tournament, and the Jim Dean Rice Lake Run on Saturday morning, just to name 3. For the city, they are all a big part of the city celebration.
It's a great community event. It gets the entire community involved. Like I said, families, young kids, up to older adults. We have events for teenagers. So I believe it's really important for our community, and we all come together. I think it's a really good event and spreads out, across the community.
For more information on any of the activities, you can go to mgco.org/events. And that's it for sports. Alex and Mike, back to you.
All right, thanks a lot, John. Speaking of Maple Grove, back and forth action at Maple Grove
One
Days.
of the nation's fastest growing sports when we come back.
Impressive talent was on display at Thursday's Maple Grove Days Pickleball Tournament. The courts at Central Park and Lakeview Knowles Park were packed with men's, women's, and mixed doubles teams. Pickleball is one of the fastest growing sports in the United States, especially popular among the over 30 crowd. Pickleball courts are smaller than tennis courts, and the sport is scored more like badminton.
I describe it as tennis, badminton, ping pong. It's a very fast-moving sport that the equipment's a little different. You use a paddle that's similar to a ping pong paddle and a wiffle ball.
Several dozen people signed up for the one-day pickleball tournament as part of Maple Grove Days. And that is all the news for now. Thanks so much for joining us.
And we leave you with more fun and music from Maple Grove Days. This is the Splatter Sisters. We'll see you tomorrow.